ਡਾਟਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਜਸਟ ਵਨ ਨੰਬਰ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਡਾਇਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ 6477101575 647101575। ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਮੈਂ ਮਾਰਟਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ, ਮੈਂ ਪੁੱਛਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਕੀ ਜਵਾਬ ਨੇ। Mr. Martin, if we talk about the like businesses in the Brampton, you know, even very big companies from transport area too. If we're talking about the trucking transportation, right? So very big companies moving from Brampton because of this, they don't have enough space for parking. So they don't have that kind of space where they park their truck and trailers, so they are moving from the Brampton. So you guys are doing something for them so they are not moving from the Brampton?
And so I'm very familiar, you know, with the concerns that they have and the challenges that they face.
That's really true. But you said like your guys are stopping making homes on that land which are already for the commercial, right?
That's exactly
it. If we are seeing nowadays the homes are too expensive right now in the Brampton. Even people are not getting a houses in like years and years. Like if you are booking a house from today and you are getting in the next year or next to next year. So that issue is also coming to front of you guys.
Well, it does. The challenge we have is that, I mean, I can't control the price of a house. You know, it doesn't matter if I'm elected city councillor or a prime minister. And so, but what we can do is we can work to make sure that people get good jobs. So whether it's the trucking folks making sure they can expand their business so that they can afford the houses, or also just make other very good jobs. So for example, we know already in Brampton, over 60% of people have to leave the city of Brampton in order to get good paying jobs, to be able to afford the houses and other living expenses. This is simply not acceptable. What should be happening is that many more of them should be able to get jobs inside the city. And so what we're looking at doing, we're looking at developing high quality, you know, manufacturing, IT and service sector jobs so that we're able to make that happen.
So what about that people like who's not well qualified, right? Who's just doing the general labor and all these kind of jobs. So you are creating the jobs for them too, or just only for the IT or well qualified people?
So what happens is that when we do the work to bringing job creation, it's not as though like I'm creating a job for a single doctor or I'm creating a job for a single IT professional. What happens is that we create an environment so that jobs can exist. So one example would be the university that's coming. So Ryerson as a university is coming. Ryerson has jobs at all different levels, from, you know, people who, you know, clean the building itself to those people who actually do the teaching as university professors. And so what happens then is that you have, you know, a full spectrum of jobs that are available. What's really nice with the university example as well is that we're not chewing up new land with it, meaning that it's going to be built on top of a parking space near the downtown of the city of Brampton, and they're going to put parking underneath. So we still have the parking resource that we currently have there now, and in addition we'll have the university. Also too, what happens in these cases, once these things start, they tend to expand. I mean, honestly, ask yourself, how many times in Canada have you heard of a university going out of business?
Yeah,
like it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
No, and in addition to that, if we look at the history of Ryerson itself and what it's done in Toronto, year after year it expands and expands and expands. It brings further opportunity, further business development, and also further job opportunities as well. And so this is the type of thing that we're looking at doing. We're looking at building these hubs, you know, of job opportunity that are going to grow with the city over time.
I'm interrupting you here. Like you said, like you guys are making a university in Brampton. When I talk to outside people, right, different kind of people and students, they say, oh, you know what, university is not coming in Brampton, it's coming in the Milton because they are not getting the land. So how true this thing is?
Well, the president of Ryerson University has signed off on it. The provincial government has signed off on the funding. So if money is there and university there and land is there, my expectation is that it will come. Now, the current provincial government, they could choose to cancel the funding, but it has nothing to do whether it's going to Milton or not. I sat in the council meeting at City Hall where it was presented. In the audience, they had the president of Ryerson University. They also had now it's changed now, but the then president of Sheridan College, among others. Basically, it was the whole stakeholder group that was there and that was present to say, this is going to happen and this is going to go forward. And every single one of the councillors present around the table voted in favor of it unanimously. So if it doesn't happen now, I dare say it would be quite shocking.
You know, before, like, people think Sheridan going to be a university. But now like they think, oh, you know what, it's not going to be a university because the government said they are putting a new university in the Brampton, and now they are not getting the land. And how true this thing is that Sheridan is also going to be a university?
Well, I mean, I don't know the inside of the plans for Sheraton University. That's particular to their community college. But I can share you what's happening with other community colleges. I'm more familiar with Humber. And what Humber's doing, Humber's taking its diploma programs and expanding them now, and they're going to be moving into degree programs as well. And so it's a natural evolution. And this has happened not just here in Ontario, but indeed across the country. There are other community-based colleges that have over time evolved and grown into universities. And so I would say that certainly while Ryerson is coming, it doesn't forbid in any way Sheraton from expanding its program, but the method through which that it has to follow is slightly different. So a university, for example, for those of our viewers at home that are unfamiliar, a university has its own senate. So they're able to self-generate programs and self-generate decisions. By contrast, the community colleges don't. They don't have a senate. So what happens is that your community college has to get their decisions together, take them to the provincial government, and have them approved before they're able to go forward. So the process is slightly different, but the opportunities for both are there.
If we're talking about the international students, right, they're like giving a lot, like they're paying 3 times more fees than the domestic students, right? So the colleges grow up, like they're going big and big only because of international students. Like your government going to think anything about that students who are coming from international, like any fees reduces or any accommodation? Because nowadays the accommodation for the international students is really hard. If they are going any home or any basement, they're saying no. They're saying no, because it's not only defect of the students only, it's defect on the media and the other people too, who are making them a bad, who are making their image bad in front of everyone. Now they're like getting a really big issue with that for the accommodation. If they are going to any house, oh, you know what, we need a room for a rent, and they said you're a student, they said yes, they said no. So your government going to solve this issue for the international students, or what you guys thinking about the fees is? It's a more than 3 times. Right.
So the challenge that we have, and it's an important piece, when people are running and politicians are running in an election, there are some politicians that will promise everything.
They promise, but they don't like
remember
after, right?
Well, remembering is one thing, but actually some of the promises are upfront dishonest because they have no ability to actually vote on it. The international student issue is one of these. As your city councillor, I have no control over student visas. Similarly, I have no control over what the fees are charged by the different educational institutions. Certainly, I'm sympathetic, with what is happening there. We want, of course, everybody to be able to have the opportunity.
Yeah.
But I can't come to you and say, if Martin Singh's elected, I'm going to be able to vote for something. This type of issue would never come before City Hall. Like it's not something that we deal with. It's the same thing. Like you don't go to your city councillor to apply for family sponsorship for your mother and father. They might be able to help you. They might be able to direct you to the right person to go to, but they don't have the ability to vote on it or to actually change it. And so this is the situation that we have with the international students. Now, where things could work in favor, let's say if the situation with all stakeholders, meaning that the university and the community college, the international students and the community came together and they said, we need to find a more comprehensive solution for this. That's where City Hall can come in. City Hall can come together and say, okay, let's work with the different community partners and stakeholders to find land where affordable housing can be built so that people can rent. And that would be our role to play. So what happens is that we do have a role in the solution, but it's not on a voting base. It's on working with the stakeholders in order to be able to come to an agreed upon solution.
And here I have one more question. When international students coming from their back home, right? They don't know any rules and regulation from this country. Even the colleges, they're not providing any class or any seminar for them. Like if you are coming to new country, you have to like take care for these rules. You are not able to do this and that, right? Some international students, they don't know what they need to do or what they don't need to do. So you are going to the colleges or you're providing the seminars to those international students who don't know the Canadian rules and regulations. Because sometimes what happens, what they do in the back homes, they are crossing the roads from in between, right? They don't care about cars coming or not. But whenever they are coming here, they don't know the rules from here, and they are doing the same things. And for that, we losses I think 2 to 3 international students only because of they don't know the rules and regulation from this country. So you are doing for anything for the putting the seminars or interacting with the colleges to suggesting them like they have to like give them at least one seminar, one class for that, so they know that like what kind of rules and regulation they have to be like keep in the mind.
Yeah. So what it is with this one again. The challenge that we have is that directly with international students, the city doesn't have a role to play. However, that doesn't stop us from engaging folks. So what happens is that let's say Sheridan came to us, or a group of international students or others came to us and they said, hey, this is an issue that we have here. Can we have some money allocated in the budget to address for it? That type of thing can be done. Absolutely. It has to make sure that it's done in a timely fashion because budget is drawn up many months in advance. And so we have the opportunity to find a solution there. I must share with you openly right now, I'm not sure that the city necessarily has anything of this type of service. They may, but it's not one that's familiar to me. And so I can't speak definitively to that particular item, but I can say that the city, while they wouldn't necessarily be the one to offer the program, they do have the opportunity to potentially fund the program to make the city work better and have people, have a better quality of life here.
The one more thing for that, I don't know I need to ask it or not, but I'm going to ask. When the international student coming here, right? So they are looking for work too, but they are getting only 20 or 25 hours in a week, right? But some of the small business take advantage for that, and they are like offering them a work on a cash, and they are paying really less. And for that, who is legally is working here, right? They are not getting a jobs only because the small business is getting them in a low period. So you guys taking any strict action against that or no? With your first two questions with international students, it wasn't in my area to vote on that one. Your third question is similarly not in the area. I
so
know.
As you're quite right, international students are legally allowed to work 20 hours a week on a standard base. If they're on a co-op program or something, then it's slightly different. If students actively choose on their own to work more than the 20 hours, they're breaking the law and they're at risk of having their student visa revoked. That's not us that does that, that's the federal government. Because the federal government deals with student visas. I wouldn't say that the employers are necessarily at risk because they won't know how many hours somebody's working, but the challenge that they have is that if they get reported, paying people below the minimum wage, then they are at risk. Again, it's not that in that case it's not a city issue, it's a provincial issue. And we know that right now because they're talking about the minimum wage rules being changed now that Doug Ford has been elected government. So it's very clear. So what happens is that for your number of hours that they can work, it's a federal issue. For the amount that they should be getting paid, it's a provincial issue. And so it's those two set roles of government that have the ability to vote, enforce, change, make better the situation there. Just so that folks are aware, what happens with your city councillor deals with a very different set of issues. So what happens is that we deal with all the local roads. So for example, the roads that we have, that we live on in our houses and that type of thing, these are the roads that we would deal with. But interestingly enough, we don't, like your office is here on Torbram. Myself as a city councillor, I don't have the ability to vote on Torbram. Why? Because it's a regional road. So your regional councillor would take care of that. Also too, if people ever have any questions about, who does what in the city, your first hint is actually to look at the name. So interestingly enough, like when we talk about police, notice we don't have Brampton Police.
Even people are so afraid from the police. I don't know why.
Well, afraid is one thing, but learn who's in control. Learn who votes on it. So, for example, you don't have Brampton Police, meaning your city councillors. They work with police. They interact with them. We can certainly bring them to the community if people have a challenge, or if they're scared of them, they want to, have a more positive relationship with them. We can do that, but we can't vote on it. It's Peel Police, and so it's your regional councillor that votes on that. By contrast, you have Brampton Transit. Clearly, Brampton, it's your city councillor's job. So we're directly involved with that. You have the Brampton library system. So very clearly we're involved with that and we can vote on it. Similarly, parks and recreation, among other things. And so these are the areas in which we're able to work with folks. Similarly, all the small businesses, if they need zoning, building permits and that type of thing to make sure that their jobs are able to grow, or the trucking situation that you mentioned earlier with the parking, these are the things that we can work on with folks in order to make Brampton a better place and a more vibrant economy. Here, with the other issues that you're mentioning, like the international students, and I understand it's a big concern in our community, not just our own, South Asian community, but the broader Brampton community. But it's not an issue that your city council representatives can ever vote on directly. It's the same thing on the doorstep. I hear a lot about car insurance. I'd love to be able to vote on car insurance.
So you're talking about car insurance. The car insurance is right now, it's too high. If you have a new license, then it's more than $400. If you have experience like 4 to 5 years, then it's still more. It's more than $300.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? Like, what's wrong? Why it's going to be too high only in the Brampton? If you are just moving from the Brampton, your insurance is going down.
Yeah. Again, and this is an example I have. Insurance is a provincial issue. You might remember some years ago, Jagmeet Singh was advocating for a lower insurance rate.
Yeah.
And if we go back even further in time, there were governments and political parties that were advocating actually taking it public. But it's all at the provincial level. I can be an advocate for people, and I share with folks when I'm on the doorstep campaigning door to door. I say, I can work with you to be able to go to your MPPs, to be able to go to Queen's Park, to be able to speak and address the issue, but your city councillor has no ability to vote on the car insurance issue.
Sometimes people don't know what issue they can bring to who person, right? Sometimes they're bringing that wrong issue to the wrong person.
So you are quite right. And the thing is this, in the same way that we're not all doctors and we don't all treat our own illnesses, we don't expect everybody to know, or even anybody to know necessarily where they're supposed to go. So what I would recommend for people, and again, let's say I'm fortunate enough to get elected on October 22nd, bring your issues to me. Bring all of them. That is fine and good. In the same that way we're having a discussion right here, I am very open to discussing with them. Those issues I can address directly, I will take care of. Those issues that I cannot address directly, I will go with those people to the elected representatives, be it their member of provincial parliament, their MPP, or their member of parliament, their MP, in order to help them get it taken care of.
Now, you're talking about the Brampton Transport, right?
Transit,
yeah. When we're talking about the buses, their drivers nowadays going to be a little hyper. They are not giving the way to people. If somebody not seeing that or not observing that person, the bus driver, giving the signal, if you are almost crossing half of the bus, then you don't have idea, right? That bus is person giving you a signal to come in. And after that, what happened, the driver was so aggressive and he was using the rude words. And because that thing happened in front of me, that's why I know that. I want to ask that, what that person should want to do, or what that car person need to do, that bus driver, the behavior of the bus driver, it's not going to be viral again.
Well, the thing is this, a bus on the road, right, is similar to another vehicle on the road in that it has identification. So if folks are having challenges with particular bus drivers, take a picture of the license plate. It's the same thing that we would do. Let's say if somebody was driving erratically, 911 says, give us a call because, we think this person's driving drunk. I'm not recommending calling 911 for a bus driver, but where I'm going with this is that you have the ability to take a picture, and so you have the bus ID number, you have the date and time, they're going to be able to figure out from that who the bus driver is and to learn what's going on.
Sometimes bus drivers, they put the headphone in their ears, right? They don't even listen. Somebody giving them a horn because that person almost crossing his bus. And they don't care about it, and they just enter in that row. Yeah,
so the thing is that it's difficult for me to comment on each individual situation, but I can tell you, same like in my own business, there's a customer service process that people can go through, meaning that if they feel that they're not getting the service that they need from the front line, there is a method through which they can generate either a complaint or a query to management, And I suspect in the case of Brampton Transit, they would engage one of the other stakeholders, which is ATU, the transit union, to come together and have a discussion about what's happening. And then if it's something that's happening a lot, which you say is the case, I'm not familiar with it, because I tell you that, like, on the doorsteps, I don't have really anybody complaining to me about Brampton Transit. But let's say that's what you're hearing and what you're experiencing. Then what happens is that they're able to go back and engage those folks that are having challenges, in performing their job. But these venues all exist already. They don't have to come through the city. I think if you did, that's fine. It might just slow things down. You'd be wise just to go to Brampton Transit directly.
Okay, here is the thing. If anybody want to contact you or come to meet you, so can you give them once your address, your office address and your number, so they can reach you easily?
So the thing is this, I mean, we do have the address and whatnot, but the challenge, of course, in the middle of an election campaign, the candidate very often is not there.
I know.
And so I share with folks is that to call me, they should dial 416-937-4166. The number again, 416-937-4166, and or by email, because a lot of folks do it by email. So it's martin@martinsingh.ca. So that's not too difficult,
That's not too difficult. ਇਹ ਵਾਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਈਮੇਲ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏਗੀ, ਐਂਡ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਟੀਵੀ ਦੀ ਟੀਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰੀ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ, ਮਾਰਟਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਦਾ ਨੰਬਰ, ਐਡਰੈਸ, ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏਗਾ। I'm asking you one more thing. Like, sometime we are getting difficult about the parking. Like, we have a house, right? Sometimes we had 3 cars and we have a parking space only for 2. So sometimes we are parking on the road, and after that we are getting ticket for $35, right?
Yeah.
So we are trying to fix that, but that parking ticket, like, how many times we need to pay? Like, sometimes we are thinking, oh, let's go on the court. But after that, we are thinking, oh, if I'm going to the court, then I'm losing my 1 day from work. And it doesn't make sense,
it
right?
costs you more to go to court than it does to pay the ticket.
That's true.
Yeah. So the thing is that there are potential short-term solutions, and then there's more long-term solution. Different cities engage the parking issue differently. As folks may know, I'm originally from the East Coast. One of the things that they do in their capital city of Halifax is that the overnight parking ban, as they call it, exists only in the winter. And for obvious reasons, meaning that they have to be able to clear the snow out of the street. And so this is something that I'd be certainly open to looking at, meaning that, when we have these type of issues where that's causing people some grief on a daily basis, because of course it would happen every single day if you had a car, then what happens is that we want to be able to make sure that we can find a solution to that in the short term. But then of course there's also the longer term. When we drive around Brampton, you can notice that as the city has grown, the setup of the houses on their lots has changed significantly. So if you're in the older city, older part of Bramalea, for example, in the southern part of Ward 7, then you'll notice that the driveways are very large. You can fit 4 or 5, 6, sometimes even 10 or 12 cars if you wanted to.
But new houses, there is only 2 parking places.
That's it. And so what it is that this is one of the places where City Hall can really make a difference. They can say, okay, developers, you're causing misery to the residents of our city. Yes, of course they want housing, but if they have to run around with their car every single night and they're at risk of getting tickets, then really the quality of life that you're providing through the house is very low. And so what happens is that at the planning and at the approval level, we have to make sure that the houses that are being built with sufficient space to hold the cars that we would, any common sense person would expect to be able to hold, at a house. We talk about the regular cars, that's fine. But let's say you had your family over to visit or something like that, and then you have 2 or 3 more cars, and then all 4 of them are getting tickets. I mean, it really doesn't make sense, And so what we want to do, we want to be able to make sure that there's something there, and there's a partial solution for that with the passes. But again, like, if you have any number of people coming to visit you and stay at your place overnight, your passes can be exhausted really quite quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think that there is room for improvement with that particular bylaw. I think that we should be taking a look at that one to make sure that it makes sense in the community and that we're not just needlessly causing people, pain and suffering.
I have one question. I know it's not under you, but I just want to know that what you think about that. Like nowadays, the fuel rates, if you checking the gas prices, nowadays it's going more and more and more. So what do you think, why it's going more? We used to like put the gas on a 79 cents and 84 cents. Now it's going to more than $1.25 or $1.35.
Sure. Well, so your gas price is made up of two base costs. One is the resource itself. So as the price of oil goes up, gasoline at the pump generally has to go up because it's an input. So that's one thing. The days of 79-cent gasoline are really gone for decades.
It was dream now.
Yeah, so it's been some time, and if you look at the price of oil back then, of course, it was significantly different than what it is today. The other part that you have in terms of the cost of gasoline is the tax base. We don't really think about it a whole lot because it's all mixed into one price at the pump per liter, but there's a significant amount of tax, of course, that's charged on gasoline. Again, the city really doesn't have a whole lot of a role to play in that. That's primarily your other levels of government that do that sort of thing. It's interesting that you mentioned that the gas price is going up because Doug Ford, one of his plans was to bring it down by stripping out the gas tax or rather the environmental tax that they were going to put on it. So I guess people would have expected it to come down, but that hasn't been the case.
And for that, I have a question. What you have a planning for your ward number 7 and 8 in the future?
So there's good work that's happening already. What we have is the Howden Recreational Center is going to be redone. For those folks who are familiar with the soccer center at Sandalwood and Dixie, it's going to be a facility much like that, not a carbon copy, but of a similar scale and size.
Okay.
And so that's going to be a fantastic improvement. What we want to do is we want to increase the job base directly inside of the wards, and we want to make sure that the activities are accessible and affordable for youth. In addition to that, there are a number of local issues that folks are bringing to me, like the parking one that you mentioned earlier would be an example. But people are using a lot of the secondary roads and they're driving very fast. So when I chat with folks, say on Dearborn or Duke or even not Drake doesn't have that issue as much, but then also through G section and whatnot, like Goldcrest and these types of roads that are not your regional roads, but are definitely a circulatory road for getting around inside the sections. People have serious concerns about the speed at which some of the cars are traveling because there's many children that live in the houses on those roads. So we are looking to build comprehensive solutions to help make our city safer, make it more prosperous, bring more activities and recreation, and also to help create more jobs, certainly.
So you have any future activities for the seniors?
So the seniors, it's interesting that you bring this up because when a lot of folks talk about seniors, they don't realize that there's a number of services that already exist. So I'll give you an example. For seniors, particularly low-income seniors, that are having difficulty clearing snow from their driveways, there is already a subsidy for them that they can apply for. So
Did you know that?
Most don't. So I mean, it's not a huge amount of money, but go onto the City of Brampton website. At the top, they have that enormous menu bar there. Go through it, search for the services for seniors, and you'll see it listed there. So people are able to apply directly. Particularly, like we know when the snow plow comes around, it puts that big bump of snow directly across all of our driveways. Well, for those folks who are older, it's a challenge getting that removed.
For them.
That's it. And so what happens is there's an amount of money that's available to them when they apply from the city to help them hire somebody to remove that. And so there are many services that exist already for seniors. The challenge that we have is that folks just really don't know about them, and that's.
ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸੱਭਿਆਚਾਰ ਦੇ ਹਰੇਕ ਰੰਗ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਖਰੀਦਣ ਲਈ
things are paying for it. They should be able to take advantage.
So they can know everything about the Brampton.ca website, right?
That is your main resources, and that's where people should go to speak for sure.
Yeah, ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸਹੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬ੍ਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਦੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਤੇ ਜਾਓਗੇ, ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਮੈਨੂ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਓਗੇ, ਸੀਨੀਅਰਸ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਫਾਇਦੇ ਨੇ, ਕਿਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਡਿਸਕਾਊਂਟ ਮਿਲਦਾ, ਕੀ ਬੈਨੀਫਿਟਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੀਨੀਅਰ ਸਿਟੀਜ਼ਨਸ ਦੇ, ਉਹ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪਤਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ। ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ, ਆਪਣਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਟੀਮ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਂ ਮਾਰਟਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਦੇ ਚਾਹੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਹੀ ਕੰਟੈਕਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਜੀ। there is no time limitations, right? If somebody want to call you.
No. They call whenever, right? No, it's all fine and good. They can do it whenever they like.
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਜੀ, ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੋਨ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ, ਕੋਈ ਟਾਈਮ ਲਿਮਿਟੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਆ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਈਏ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਮਾਰਟਨ, ਯੂ ਆਰ ਕਮਿੰਗ ਟੂ ਮਾਈ ਸ਼ੋ, ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਸੋ ਮਚ। ਇਟਸ ਰੀਅਲੀ ਨਾਈਸ ਟਾਕ ਟੂ ਯੂ। ਲਾਈਕ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਬੜਾ ਹੀ ਖੋਲ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। Sometimes it happens when we talk to someone, we didn't realize time goes too fast, right? It happens today to you, and with me too. When I talk to you, I didn't realize my time flies too fast. Now just I realize when I show the board, like, oh, it's only 1 or 2 minutes left.
Yes.
Right? So thank you so much to coming to my show and giving your opinion to the audience and telling them like what they should do and what they should not, right? Sometimes they don't know like where they should go for their problems, where they're taking that. So there is only one answer. Just call Mr. Martin Singh.